Hey guys, welcome back to another video in InfoSec Pat. This is video 10, how to install WDS services on Windows Server 2019. So if you're ready for the video, let's get into it. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back. So this is video 10, how to install and configure WDS services. So what is WDS? Windows Deployment Services. So this is a centralized server to deploy Windows operating systems. So if it's Windows Server 2019, like we're going to do in this video, Windows 10, Windows Server 2012, 2016, only Windows-based systems. Obviously, as it says, Windows Deployment Services. It's not Linux deployment services, it's not Mac deployment services, it's for Windows. So just keep that in mind, okay? So the next slide, this is going to be our setup. So we have obviously our primary domain controller that we've been working on. This is going to be our WDS server, what we're going to be installing the WDS service role, and we're going to be assigning it 208. And then we have a little machine down here that there's no operating system at the moment. There's no operating system on there at the moment, and what it's going to do is pixie boot from the WDS server and install the operating system. So we're going to see all of that in this video. Okay, so this is going to be the steps that we're going to be doing. So step one is configure the IP address and rename the server joining to the domain. So let's get into that. What did I just do? All right, so let's do this first. Let's go onto our machines. So this is the Windows Deployment Services box. It's a brand new install. So if you see up here, it says WDS test. There is no, like if we just hit Control Delete on this box, let's just move it over here. Control Delete. I just want to show you something, that there's no operating system on this machine at the moment. All right, cool. So I'm just going to bring this, like I always do, on this screen, just so I know what IP and all that stuff is going to be added. All right, cool deal. All right, so this is our domain controller like we've been working on the whole time. Let's log into that. So by the end of this whole thing, you guys should be able to set up a whole little network on Windows. So that's the whole purpose of this course. So, excuse me. All right, so what we're going to do first, let's go back here. Step one is to configure the IP. And actually, before we do that, let's just turn this off. I hate this thing. All right, let's configure the IP. Turn off IPv6. And we're going to be assigning this 192.168.50.208. Let me just double check. Yes, that's correct. 24-bit mask in my gateway. DNS. And then the secondary is going to be my router. Okay, cool. So now the IP is set up. The IE enhanced security configuration is turned off. Now we can go ahead and change the computer name and add it to the domain. Let's go ahead and do that. What did I put? Win 2K19-WDS01. And I want to put it on my infosecpat.local. Give that a second to resolve. Okay, infosecpat/administrator. And then my fancy password. Now this should join to the domain. Once that joins, we'll reboot. And then we'll install the role. There's a few little things we have to do with DHCP as well, just to give you a heads up, but we'll get into that when we get to that step. Once this is done installing, and joining into the domain. And then we'll make sure in DNS and all that stuff on the domain controller is good to go. So it says welcome to InfoSec Pat's domain. We're good here. Hit OK. OK, close, reboot. All right. And so now let's go back to the domain. We can go onto Active Directory. We can refresh this. Go to computers. We see WDS. We're going to go ahead and put it in the proper OU with the servers. Okay. So we're going to take this and drag it into servers. Hit yes here. Moving the object. Yes. So now we have 4 servers and now servers OU. We have a couple of users. No groups yet. Then we have a couple computers that we joined from the DHCP video. Okay. So we'll give this a second. Okay. Bada bing. It's up and running. Go to other user. Now what we'll do is InfoSec Pat /administrator and then my fancy password. And now I'm going to log in. Okay. So once we're logged in, we can install the service. All right. Once this boots up, go to local service, local server. We'll see our IP address. We'll see our domain, our new computer name. Everything is all good to go. And then now what we'll do is go to manage, add roles and features. Can minimize, I guess we can't minimize that. So here we're going to go hit next. It's going to be a role-based feature. Okay, hit next. It's going to be on this machine. Next, we're going to go all the way down to Windows Deployment Services and just everything add features. Okay, next, next, next. So here it's going to be a deployment server and a transport server. So the best way to always set this up is it's on its own server, right? Because I've seen people install WDS on a domain controller. I've seen it in so many different ways. I think if you really want to, if you don't have the resources, then obviously utilize what you have. But if you have an extra VM that you can spare or an extra server that you can spare for WDS, do it. It's a better performance. It's just better overall. All right, hit next and install. So let me see something really quick on here. We only have the one disk, okay? So I don't think I ever added a new disk, and we're gonna do that right now. Let's go to computer management really quick. I just wanna make sure I don't have anything lingering out here. No. So how we do that? How do we add a new disk? We can right click on the VM, go to settings, go to add, and we're going to add a hard drive. Hard drive, it's on it already. Hit next. SCSI, that's fine. Next. Create a new virtual disk. That's fine. Next. We can have the 30 gig. Do 50 gigs. That should be fine. Okay. Next. It's fine. Now we have this disk here, okay? So now we hit OK. It doesn't just show up magically. You see here? Let's see what this is done. Okay, this is done. So now let's just go back into disk management. We see the 50 gigs here. Okay, it's offline. Let's bring this online. Let's initialize the disk. That's fine. And then we can do a new simple volume. And we can put this as guess D is taken, so we'll just make it W for Windows Deployment Services, okay? And we'll just add WDS. Okay, that's fine. Finish. All right, so this is going to be our drive that all of our images are going to be on, okay? So that should be good. All right, let's minimize that. So before we actually install the, because we have it installed already right here, we can right click on here and then open up Windows Deployment Services console. But if you go here, it's going to be exclamation, it's not configured. You see here, it's not configured. But before we configure it, what we're going to do first, I want to go to the domain controller, go into DHCP. Let's minimize this for a second. let's go to DHCP, right click, and DHCP Manager, and then we'll open this up, IPv4, server options, and scope options, and then let me open this bigger, and then scope options. So in here, there's two things that we have to do. We have to add options 66 and 67, all right? So the way we do that, right click, configure the scope. So if we go down here, all the way to 66, okay? So the way we're gonna do this, I wanna do ping w, what is it? Win 2K19-WDS01. All right. So I can stop that. I can take this, right click, that's just copying it and then pasting it in here. Okay. This is going to be the volume. This is going to be the boot server. Okay. And then the boot file is going to be boot slash x64, because it's a 64-bit, slash WDS nbp.com. Okay. Okay, boom. We have it here. Bada bing. All right, so that's all good. Just make sure, refresh. Okay. All right, so let's go back to our WDS and let's go ahead and configure this now. Okay, let's minimize this, make this bigger. Right click, configure server. All right, so before you begin, ensure that you have the following requirements are met. The server member is an Active Directory. Yes, it's a part of an ADDS domain. There's an active DHCP server on the network. Yes, it is. We just configured the Pixie environment, which relies on DHCP for IP addressing. So when this WDS test boots up, it knows where to pull the image from. All right. Make sure there's an active DNS server. There is an active DNS server. You saw that. And the server has a NTFS partition, which stores the images, and that's what we have here. Okay? There's nothing here yet, but we're going to see it in a second. All right, let's hit next. We're going to integrate this with Active Directory. Perfect. Next. So here, we're going to put W, right? So make sure W is fine. Okay, next. And select one of the following options. So what I want to do is respond to all computers, all client computers, known and unknown, right? So that's going to be the way I'm going to be configuring this. So that's going to go out and set this up. We're going to hit finito, finished. Excuse me. And then now we see in here, we have all these folders and we have the files. And we can go to images. There's no images yet. There's nothing really yet. Let's go to boot and x64, and we can see this WDS NBP file, right? You see this, and go to properties on this. You can see this conf file that we configured in the DHCP settings. All right, DHCP options. All right, so that's that. And one other thing, what we have to do here is go ahead and right click here, go to settings. We have to mount, did I already mount it? Hold on, let me see if I mounted it already. I don't think I did. Oh yeah, it's there already, perfect. So I did mount it. So the way you do mount this, if you are using VMware, you're gonna right click on your machine, go to settings, go to CD DVD, and then browse to the image that you're going to be utilizing. Okay, cool. All right, so that's that. So we can go to image, add new image, and the image group I'm going to put. I'm just going by what I have here. Is going to be win 2K19-image. Okay, that's the group I want to use. So the operating system image is going to, let's go to browse. We're going to go to this computer and we're going to go to D drive, open, open. What the hell is it? Hold on. Location, computer, D. I don't see. Let me see something. Let me just do this. Okay. All right. So the boot located on the installation source folder. Okay. Sources. All right. So this is going to be. Wait. Let me start over. Oh, this is the image file. Okay. Sorry. It's getting late, and I'm getting tired. So the install.wim. Okay. And we can see the operating systems that we have here. That should be fine. Next, next, and that'll create it. Sorry, it's almost 11 p.m. Well, actually 10 p.m. I had a long day, and this is the second video I'm doing today, and I'm shot. I was debating on doing this video, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me knock it out. So I'm knocking it out now. So just give this a second, and then these boot images will come up. The install images will come up. Okay, let's finish. Now we see these here. Now let's go to boot image. Right click, add boot image. Right here, boot WIM. Next, that's all fine. Next, next, and that'll configure that. Once that's good, so right now we're configuring adding the install and boot images. This is what I was just reading off. And then verified WDS installation. Let's go verify, make sure it's good. Okay, that's good. And that should be it for here. So now we should be good. And let's make sure this is running. Start. The server did not spawn. Okay, that's really strange. Configured. Properties. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead. And now what we're going to do is test this. So we can give this a run. So the verified, everything's installed. Let's try to deploy an operating system to this. Okay, let's go ahead and hit Control Delete on here and see if it'll pull up and find the. Okay, didn't. I think what's happening is this service is not. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Yeah. The service wasn't running. All right, so now let's see if we go back to this, refresh. Now it's running. That was really strange. Okay, so everything is running now. The service is running. Now let's go ahead and give this a try. Right click, Control Delete. See if you can find on the network. There it goes. Enter, and bada bing. So now you can see that the images are being pulled from the server down here, right there. And yeah, you can see it, 192.168.50.208. If we go back here, go back to the server manager, this is 208 right here. So this is this box that it's pulling the image from. And now we're installing this over the network, right? Like, so now, for example, if you have like 10, sorry, I don't have any water or anything to drink. But if you have like massive amount of deployments, you don't have to go walking around with a little USB stick or DVD anymore and installing this. You can just do it right from one centralized location and do a mass deployment. All right. So here it is. Go ahead and get next. And then now we're going to authenticate. So it's going to be infosec_pat/administrator. And then my fancy password. And we're going to install data center. Hopefully this goes quickly. And there's the 60 gig partition that we did. And we'll let this do its thing. Once it gets to a few percent, I'll pause it so you don't have to watch this. It's probably gonna take a couple minutes. I don't wanna watch water boil. Once it, it's at 1% now, 2%, so I'll be resuming shortly, all right? All right, guys, I'm back. So the installation just finished, and we're gonna hit restart now, sorry. And while this was installing, I had to run downstairs and get something to drink. I got myself some tea. All right, so I'm good here. So now this should go through its installation process, boot up, and once it boots up, we should be able to log in. And one thing, if I remember correctly, it automatically joins it to the domain. But it's been a very, very long time since I've done WDS services and like SSCM and SCOM. These kind of installations has been some time. So like, let's just go to the domain controller, log into this while that one is finishing up, and refresh. It's all good in the hood. Let's go to Active Directory, go to computers. If I refresh this, let me see if I'm right. Yeah, boom, I am right. Damn, my memory is pretty good. So now this is the computer name of that machine. So once this comes up, yeah, we can hit next. I'm in the US, English. I think I'm speaking English, right? So, and then my fancy password. Type it in again. All right, hit finished. I'm getting tired. Thank God this is almost done. All right, cool deal. So let's do Control Delete, infosec pat. We can do infosec pat /administrator, and then my fancy password. All right, so that should be golden. And let's see what IP address it pulled. Let's go to DNS. Hit refresh here. We should have an administrator. So 233. So we have that DHCP, because remember, we configured DHCP in the other video. If we go to DHCP, we refresh this. Remember, so you've seen those two disappear, right? Because on our lease, on our properties of our lease, we only have 23 hours. So obviously I did the other one 24 hours ago. So that's why that lease just disappeared. But here we go. We got our administrator 1. This is good. Local server, administrator 1. So it should be on the infosec pat.local. Boom. Now we have a new machine without even touching it. We did everything automated. That's pretty much how you set up Windows deployment services. Just to summarize what we did, let me open up this thing. So what we did, we installed the WDS server, we joined it to the domain, we installed the WDS role, and then we configured it. We added the install file and the boot images, and then we verified WDS installation on the server, and then we deployed this Windows Server 2019 through the network. So hopefully this has been informative for you guys. Thank you for checking me out. Please like, subscribe, and more videos to come in this playlist. Thank you guys. Have a good one.